Hey everybody, Evan here from Evan's Detailing and Polishing. We've been getting a ton of questions in our DMs about what do you need to start your own polishing business. And this right here on this table is exactly it. This is what I started with. A few of the products have changed over the years, but this is exactly what we use. Kind of break it down a little bit for you on where I started, kind of give you some of the price points, just kind of try and fill you in a little bit. Where I start is I bought a 6,000 RPM. We started with Milwaukee's and DeWalt's back in the day. We've moved up to the Makitas now. The Makitas are a little lighter. We don't get as tired at the end of the day from all that heavy weight. We know some of the other polishers out there can't really stand the heavy weight of the heavier grinders, so we try to find them the lightest grinder we could possibly get. This one right here, the Makita GA7021. We picked this thing up pretty average, about $150 to $170 on a regular basis. But it's a great machine. We get a lot of life out of these things. I love these things. Next, whether you're a novice or a pro, the variable speeds are a way to go. For guys just starting off, we always recommend the 3500 or less, either a DeWalt or Makita. This model right here, DeWalt, it's a DWP 849X. This one goes for anywhere between $150 and $200, depending on if you find a good sale on it or not. The Makita is a 9227C. I usually pick those up anywhere between $129 and $200, depending on if you find a sale on them. Both of those spin 3500 or less. The variable speeds will work on everything: your cuts, your colors, and your white buffs. Your high-speed buffs will only work on your cuts and colors, your heavier fabrics. The whites and stuff, you still can't use them on 6,000 RPM. As we've said in almost all of our videos in the past, white buffs should always be used on the slower speeds, 2,200 RPM or less. Of course, I always recommend a full face respirator. Number one is safety, safety, safety. You want to protect your respiratory and of course your eyes, two of our most important things. Without them you can't breathe or see. You really want that. That's important in metal polishing. We didn't always use safety flanges. A lot of the buffs we used back in the day just had the center plates in them. A lot of guys start off with those because they're not a huge investment. The center plates go for anywhere between $25 and $55 depending on where you're buying them from. I recommend them. It really makes the buffs that much safer, and it really works good for quick swap outs. For guys that only have one grinder, you can switch between a cut and a color buff rather fast to keep the heat up in your wheels or your tanks, whichever you're working on. If you're using just a standard buff with a center plate, it takes a lot more time to swap those out. Of course, everybody should have an arbor extension. The arbor extension works great for those softer buffs, lets you really feather them into the edges where you want to get them. And you never know when you're going to have to use a buff and blend. Those arbor extensions are an absolute necessity. For those of you that are still using wire brushes and screwdrivers to rake out your buffs, put them down and walk away, please. Get yourself a good rake. These rakes go for about 20 bucks, and honestly, I've got one in my shop that's 11 years old, and I'm still using it today. They're about 20 bucks, well worth the investment. If you're getting 11 years out of it, you're getting your life, and I use mine every day. Not everybody's using them like we do. On top of that, get yourself great products. The buffs and compounds are an absolute necessity. You can buy some of the cheaper stuff, some of the gimmicks, but at the end of the day, that's all they are, cheaper stuff and gimmicks. Get yourself some good stuff. Of course, a good hand polish always helps. We didn't keep a whole lot of bulk quantity when we were doing mobile. We just kind of did it out of the trunk of my car to get started. So this right here all fit in a tote. Of course, get yourself a good sander. I prefer this Makita right here. The tight spiral makes a great actuation, makes it super easy to polish when you're done. Some of the other sanders have a really wide pattern, and it makes it a lot more difficult to buff out when you go to buff. But pretty much that's it. This is where we started. Get yourself some cotton terry cloth towels and some applicator pads. And this whole set right here, you can get started your own business for right about $1,000. If you want to invest in some stock of product, you can get started right about $1,500 or $2,000. But then once you do all that, make sure you're doing it legit. Get yourself an LLC, protect yourself and your customers, and of course get the insurance to cover your customers. You never know when you're going to mess something up on a wheel, and you just want to be covered so that you don't have to worry about that issue down the road. Thanks everybody for watching these. To see more of my how-to videos, check out youtube.com/Evan Stager Metal Polishing. Check me out on Instagram, Metal Polisher 3826, and check out me and the multiple franchise locations on Facebook under the Evan's Detailing and Polishing.